Okay, welcome. My name is Greg Matthison. I'm one of the facilitators today. I'd like to thank you for everybody for coming. Last year we had 7 ambassadors, so it was a really busy table. And now we got a full room, so we're really excited to invite you to come here today. I want to talk a little bit about the BMO Centre first of all. This is a magical place. Who here has ever played soccer here before? Wow, that's a significant number. So I'm assuming either you played on a competitive team or you came here for gym class or one of those scenarios. So what you may not know is this is considered to be one of the best world-class facilities, indoor soccer facilities in Canada. So there was one recently that was opened in Hamilton, Players Paradise. It just folded. There's another one in Toronto, folded recently. So this is a unique story. It is owned and operated by a non-profit association. It's an association called London Optimist Sports Centre. If you have played soccer for a number of years, you might remember the old dome by the airport. Oh, yeah. And probably everyone here knows who Tom Vitalis is. Right? Everyone knows who Tom is. So anyways, Tom has led a group of volunteers for the last 10 years. They took over the old dome after it failed twice under private hands, which is tough to do with one soccer place in the whole city. But it failed twice. Tom and a group of volunteers took it over, and they built, and it was busting at the seams, literally busting at the seams because it was falling down once in a while. And then they moved here, and it was a $15 million project. So the cool thing is, this is done by volunteers. I've been lucky to be a part of the project since the start. But it is not only done by volunteers, it's probably one of the best well-run organizations, soccer facilities in all of Canada. Then recently added the expansion on the far side. So you may not know it, but this is exceptional, what you see here today. So again, my name is Greg Matthison, and I'm the owner of Got Game Sports. So this is our second year having our brand ambassador program. So we'll talk a little bit about what you're here for today, what we're going to talk about, and you start to figure out what is it you're going to try and get out of today. So we'll do some quick introductions, talk more about the ambassador program. I'd like to share with everyone the pathway to sports. A lot of people learn through hard knocks, when they're much older, ways they could have gotten involved in sports if they knew how to. It's a tough pathway. So I'd like to be able to share with you things you need to know now if it's your goal to get involved in sports. You don't have to get involved in sports. If you do, you need to know what you're doing. We're going to talk about sports marketing. We're going to talk about doing some school events, talk about the power of networking. Everyone here is going to create an actual video. Everyone's going to create an actual video today. So we have Norm James here today. He is, we'll introduce him a little bit more later. He's our video expert. So literally everyone today is going to leave creating a full or portion of a video. So that's hopefully going to be some good learning about that process. And then we'll do a wrap up at the end. So first of all, I'm Greg Matthison. We've got Brady Edison here. He handles all of our team registrations and essentially everything that needs to get done for Got Game Sports. Jim Ross is over there. Jim Ross is involved in a bunch of businesses we're involved with. He's the general manager of everything. Norm James, I'll do a full introduction a little bit later, but he's our content creator and video expert. Walter Brown is not here today. So I'd like to see who's in the room here today. So Jim, name out one of the high schools that's here.
Lucas.
Lucas, who's here from Lucas today? Wow, good group. Okay, thanks for coming here today. And thanks for Jeff for bringing them.
Regina Monday.
Regina Monday. Wow, all right. What's on this side? And Mike, yes, you got them, right?
And Mike.
Oh, okay, Mike and Mike. All right, thanks for bringing them. Gabriel Dumont. Oh, we have a battle on here today. Okay. Side to side. Okay, next person. Central Elgin. Where's Central Elgin? Yep. Here. Nicole here? Somewhere. Strathroy. All right, Strathroy. Jam together with Strathroy. Anyone I missed? Any other schools I missed? Excellent. Okay. So, who here in the last year has played on a organized sports team? It could be school, hands up nice and high. It could be school, it's not to be competitive, recreational. Okay, that makes sense. You're all here in sports marketing, you have some interest in sports. A couple other questions here. Who here has some experience being a referee or an official in a sport over the past year? Wow, that's higher than I thought. Good for you. Who here has ever volunteered outside of the forced fundraising you have to do? Again, there's no right or wrong answer, but who here has stepped up and helped out with a sports organization in a volunteer capacity outside of maybe fundraising you had to do for a team? Excellent. New generation. They say what you guys is not true. Who here's been a coach, assistant coach or head coach? Okay, we've got a very engaged group. Excellent. Okay, that's going to come in very valuable a little bit down the road here. Go ahead, Bridget. Oh, back one. So, the ambassador program was designed since essentially we have a whole bunch of sports marketing businesses. First of all, it took me a while to get into sports marketing, and I know there's hundreds and thousands of students who are interested in sports marketing. So we're like, you know what? We need to do something to give back to the students who are interested in the pathway and give them some information. So that's the idea of the workshop is here today. Part of the workshop will be getting some video experience. Many here, it's voluntary, but many here will be doing an event at their school. So you're going to get some experience running an actual event, either by yourself or in a group. It's a promotional event where we'll bring out all our street hockey gear, and we'll do skills competition, hardest shot, most accurate shot, dangle racing, and 3-point shooting. We'll do some fun. We'll do a fun promo event. We'll help you, but you'll be running it at your school. The goal is to teach you with the power of networking, and you're all going to leave today with your own personal networking list, which you may end up using, you may not. Ultimately, you're going to see the power of your network. And ultimately, the goal of this is to hopefully build your resume. So that leaving here, one, you can say you're an ambassador, you can say you went to a workshop, and hopefully this is going to spark some additional things that you may get involved with in the next little bit. So here's an example of James Dunn was involved last year, so at the end of the year, you got a brand ambassador certificate through email and print that you can use and add to his resume. So that's the goal here today. So it's a casual program. There's not a lot of work involved. It's all sort of, even for the event you're going to do, it's not a lot of work involved. So it's an experience that you can get involved with and take what you want. All right, so who here would like to have a job in sports in the future? Hands up high. And there's no right or wrong answer. You don't have to. Who here is interested, either really want to, or considering getting a job in sports? All right. So about half the room. Okay. So why would you want to get involved in sports? Let's hear some interaction. Because it's fun? Yep. Fun how? How's it fun, do you think? Yeah, so it may involve playing some sports, or you're always around the sport. You're around the sport, so there's lots of fun for sure.
You're passionate for it?
Yep. So what does that mean?
Like you watch it all the time, you can watch it, you can play it, you can like analyze it.
So if you're already analyzing it, passionate, why turn it off at 9 o'clock in the morning until 5? Why not keep going through the day, right? Good point. Why else would you want to be involved in sports? Yeah.
The benefits from being in the sports world, just being able to go to games, meet the athletes, these guys that you grew up idolizing, and then of course the money.
Yeah, 100%. So there's a lot of benefits to being involved in the game, from being involved in the game, being connected, knowing what's happening, learning behind the scenes, especially if it's your passion. It doesn't even seem like work. Anything else? Those are all good points. Those are all things that I felt throughout my time. And that's definitely part of everyone's passion of being involved in sports. So even if you're not thinking about being involved in sports, that may change. But if you are thinking about being involved in sports, it's not an easy road to get involved in sports. We're going to talk a little bit more about it. Oh, back one. So, in Canada alone, there is hundreds of thousands of people just like you who like sports. What could be better than a career in sports, coaching, administration, refereeing? there's hundreds of thousands of people who are in your shoes and think it's pretty cool, that's my goal to get involved. But literally there's only hundreds and hundreds of jobs. So there's a huge bottleneck of people that want to get involved in sports that actually can find a job in sports that's not purely volunteer. So I was in the exact same boat. I was involved in franchising, so I had hundreds of people that reported to me. I was coaching them how to do different things, and it was successful and it was fun. Sorry, it was successful, but it wasn't that fun. And I always regretted not getting into sports when I was a little bit younger. So I actually left the corporate world, left Toronto, moved to London. That was 10 years ago. I didn't have anything set up, because it's not easy to set up, especially when you move to a different city. So I was literally unemployed in transition for a couple of years, which is not easy to do when you used to be very, very busy and very, very active, and lots of people were reporting to you. So it was a different transitional period of my life, and constantly trying to figure out how to poke a hole. How do I get involved in sports? What do I do? I'm behind the boat. I really had no experience doing anything in the sports world other than playing sports. So it was a tough process. There's lots of options, but essentially they're asking you to volunteer consistently, and there's not too many paid jobs. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that, but that's the biggest challenge, is setting yourself up for success, for the opportunity to get involved in sports. So, 4 key things you can do right now. Sounds like a lot of people in the room are doing it, which is important. You might want to keep on adding to this list. So volunteering in a local organization. So I'm a coach. I coach hockey, baseball, and soccer. I'm an executive for all 3 sports. So if you ever want to get involved with an organization, there is lots of ways to get involved in an organization. The key thing is to talk to your organization, let them know that you're interested in being involved for a long period of time. If you say you want to help out for a couple weeks or a month, it's going to be really difficult for them to actually find you something that they can train you on how to do, and then you'll only be there for a while. If you tell any organization you're interested in part-time volunteering for a number of weeks, for a number of months at least, you'd be surprised how many opportunities they might be able to give to you, but you're going to learn behind the scenes how to do different things. So from coaching to helping out with the executive board to planning events with tournaments, there is endless things that they can do. So keep that in mind. If you're going to reach out to someone, to an organization, make sure you mention that you have lots of time to help out over a period of time. Not necessarily 10, 20 hours a week. Maybe 2, 3, 5 hours a week over a long period of time. You'll get a lot more responses to your requests. Also includes being an official or referee, which a bunch of people mentioned they're already doing, which is amazing. So that's a great way to get involved in sports and make a little bit of scratch at the same time. An internship at school. So either if you're taking marketing, or you're taking science, or taking arts, a lot of times you can find an internship that has some involvement in sports. All that matters is when you have something on your resume that you can refer to that is sports related. Doesn't even matter if the job was fully involved in sports. So when you have an internship opportunity, just look for a connection to sports. Just think about your resume. Think about adding a section or 2, 1 or 2, 3 more sections. The more sports-minded sections you have in your resume, the more you're going to be ahead of the next person. For when you apply for that job with the London Knights, or you apply for that job with the Toronto Blue Jays, or wherever you want to go, you're going to be up against people who have lists and lists and lists of categories on their resume, small or large, that have been involved in sports. So think about how you can add to your list. Obviously your degree or diploma, there is lots of different pools, sports marketing opportunities at colleges and universities. There's plenty of them, and they're very popular. And then ultimately, again, whatever your schooling is, try to find a co-op placement or find a job that's involved in sports. So the other way to get involved in sports is take a different route, where first of all, I've talked to a few people recently who have started up a sports-minded business during their summertime. They had an idea to sell, there's a unique version of a new soccer ball out, training ball, essentially it's a ball in a string, as silly as that sounds, and you train with the ball all the time. So I know someone who's starting up a summer business selling soccer balls, which you can make some decent money on for the summer. So any idea that you might have for a summer opportunity, first of all, you can go out and get a grant for $3,000 to start up a business. So if there's anyone who they're interested in Sparked, you write down the Small Business Centre London, and they have grants that you can get $3,000 to do a business plan and to create a summer business. So it doesn't matter, you don't need to have an idea today, but if you're going, yeah, it's interesting, I wouldn't mind doing something this summer or probably next summer, keep that in the back of your mind and go to the London Small Business Centre and ask about the student grants. Obviously the other key one, opportunity one, is being an official or being a referee. And specifically in soccer, I know of, there are different organizations. I'm with Norwest Soccer Club, and there's a bunch of others. They hire university students to coach teams. They get grants from the government to do this. So if you ever want to coach, either you are coaching or you think about coaching, speak to some soccer organizations. You can reach out to me if you want, and you can get hired to, it's a 30 or 40-hour job per week, right through the summer, from May to August. You get paid full-time to be a soccer coach and help out administratively with the organization. So there are ways to get involved to kind of force the process. You can either volunteer and do different things while you're doing your regular job, or you can find a way to get a summer job involved in sports, right? Just envision your resume 5 years from now. How many more pieces can you add to your resume that have something to do with sports? Any questions about the pathway to sports? My goal is to bring reality to the scenario, not to turn people off sports, but just to let you know, it's you're taking hundreds of thousands of people in Canada, and there's only hundreds of jobs, full-time paid jobs when you're out of university and college. So that you can get there. You just gotta be smart, and you gotta plan for it now. All right. So ultimately, get involved. Find organizations to get involved. People who run organizations, sports organizations, are quite connected. So get involved, and you'll be surprised how board members will help you find a job, how they'll help you get references, do various things, and learn how to market your time. Let others see your ideas, time, attitude, passion for sports, and let nature do its thing. I guess I should just do a full review of all the businesses that we're involved with. So, London Sports Express, the magazine here. Left it downstairs. So, who here has seen the magazine London Sports Express before? Okay. My target market is adults, so having half is actually pretty good. Who here has actually been in the magazine before? Only two. Probably didn't know it. So, it's a local magazine. It's been around for 10 years. Continues to grow, which is very unique to hear. You've probably heard about the challenges of the print industry, newspapers and magazines. But the magazine has continued to grow mainly because it's partnered up with about 50 different sports groups. So it's a bit of a partnership model, which is unique and different. We feature about 2,000 people in each magazine, 6 per year. So that's where my path started with Sports Express. And then for the magazine to grow, I had to know essentially everyone, all the sports groups. I had to know who the presidents were. I had to know who the key influencers were. So it was 3 or 4 years of hustling and getting out there to know the who's who of the local sports community. From that, from hearing different information about what's happening in the community, I realized that there was nothing currently to take sports fans to go watch the big game. So big game road trips came together, which is we do bus trips to go to see Blue Jays, Detroit Lions, Buffalo Bills, Maple Leafs. We had 3 buses recently. We go see them in Detroit. Anything else, Jim? Oh, and then we do lots of tailgate parties and stuff like that. So that led to, obviously with the connections Sports Express had built, someone else had stopped doing road trips at the same time, so we stepped up and we've been doing it for 5 years. Ultimately, who here played in the tournament called Play On before, street hockey tournament? Anybody play in the street hockey tournament down at Victoria Park? Is this one? Really, that's surprising me. No one's played street hockey before at Victoria Park at a tournament? Kids up, yeah. So it's a pretty cool event. It was on for 15 years. There was actually events going right across Canada. They stopped doing it 2 years ago. We found out on early February that the event was not going to happen. So we had the crazy idea of saying, how about we step up and do it? So we had 2 months to plan an event where we had over 1,000 participants. We had 50 vendors, sponsors. And what happens at Victoria Park, so you can envision Victoria Park with hockey rinks all around the streets of Victoria Park. So we had 20 different rinks, It was quite the production. It was a real challenge. It's a lot of fun. Now we're into our second year. So that's where Got Game was born, through creating street hockey and now street basketball tournaments at Victoria Park. Everyone's too young for the Gus Macker, I think, for sure. Teachers, any Gus Macker participants?
No.
I've actually been to one not so long ago.
So this was about 9 years ago.
It was like, the last one, there was one in Michigan, it wasn't in.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, good for you. So, but Gus Macker, they used to have close to 2,000 teams. 2,000, which is absolutely insane. So you can think of how many people that would be. Now, they had teams coming from all over the United States traveling for this tournament in London. It was crazy and it was out of control. But it was quite the event that London will remember for a long, long time. So we're not bringing that type of tournament back. We're trying to bring a grassroots tournament. So that's what Got Game is all about, is street hockey and street basketball. And one of the parts of bringing in some brand ambassadors today is to teach you what we know about sports marketing, and there'll be some fringe benefits of getting our events promoted. Right. So just back up. So, back up one. What is sports marketing to you when you think of sports marketing? And sorry, Jim is tallying points for engagement here. And people who eat first, get the hottest food, are the ones who talk the most. We actually might be short on food too, so you might want to speak up. So what does sports marketing mean to everybody? Or to anybody? When you think of sports marketing, what comes to mind? Yes?
The behind the scenes, so everything that goes into the sports, whether it's the sponsorships, the endorsements, the jerseys, the overall advertisements and everything that goes into making the playable piece possible.
Yeah, so you see the advertisements, you see the sponsorship, you see the jerseys and the athletes. There is a mountain of work behind that to bring them together. It's an excellent point. What else do you think of when you think of sports marketing? Yes? A little out of it? Endorsements, can you think of one that rings a bell? Endorsements and sponsorships? Air Jordan's still alive? Is that amazing? Anybody here have an Air Jordan? Wearing Air Jordans? Oh, yeah, you got some Jordans over there? Of course you do, nice. So they're still alive. Yeah, what a mega sports marketing venture that was. Okay, I need a few more things. What else comes to mind when you think of sports marketing? Yeah, it's a sort of a different, fun form of advertising. You're right. Yeah, using sports to spread the message. Yes.
Just a way to create awareness for your product that you're trying to sell, get more people involved, get people to play in the event, market the event, just create awareness.
That's right. You can do all four here. So I just want to talk a little bit more about the things that we spend most of our time on with all the businesses, from Sports Express to Big Game Road Trips to Got Game, which is no different than the London Knights and other organizations. Here's where we spend our time. So most things we are promoting is a game or event. So typically traditional media, which is now TV, radio, print. I just signed off on our radio campaign this morning that we're doing for Got Games. That's still, typically traditional media is not as important as it was a while ago, but it still has a strong place, and everyone is, any event is still doing it. Obviously online advertising. When you think of online advertising, what comes to mind? How would you, if you're going to do online advertising, where would you spend money? Yep, social media. What channels do you think are the most popular for online advertising? Correct? Twitter? Instagram, Twitter. Just so you know, Facebook is actually much more popular because old guys like us, that's where we're on Facebook and Twitter. But if they do want to reach the younger market, Instagram and Twitter is by far the best way, and I think Snapchat would probably be the best way. But most organizations spend most of their time on Facebook, and that's because people like me are running them. That's kind of what we know, and most of our target market is on Facebook. But Twitter and Instagram is getting stronger and stronger. And also Google AdWords is pretty important, if anyone has any experience with that. grassroots promotions. So what this means is there's lots of inexpensive ways to go promote an event. So simply what we do and what my team does is Jim and his son go out to arenas and hand out magazines to people who want them. So instead of having magazines sitting in racks that people didn't know were there, they go out to events, people that want them take them. So we get our magazines in the hands of people who want them by simply going to where sports fans are. We also have these flyers here that we'll hand out as well. So it's, other than manpower and time, it's a very inexpensive way to get your message out to the community. That's just one of the grassroots promotions that we do. Digital, we talked a little bit about the advertising, and obviously the power of growing a fan base, growing fans, growing a list of engaged fans and followers is crucial to being able to have a community that you can promote one event to, plus the next event, and the next event, and the next event. So we spend a lot of time on that. And then obviously we spend a ton of time selling tickets for events and sponsorships. So I covered off actually most of this already, but for God Games specifically, we do radio and TV, social media. Again, we do AdWords and Facebook. We have about 10,000 people on our email list that we've gathered over time. So we do email blasts and drip campaigns to our fans and followers. We have a ton of sponsors since we were able to connect with a business that might be interested in doing an event or a magazine or go on a road trip to watch Blue Jays games. So we have lots of different ideas there. And we plaster the city with posters and flyers. That's where we spend most of our time. So, any questions you'd like to ask me about sports marketing before we skip on to this event here? Just ask me anything you want about sports marketing. Yeah. So the question is, how much money do you put down to start? So what's the example of an event? Okay. So, well, I talked about the GOT game event. We would probably spend, I think the budget is around $10,000 that we spend through different types of social advertising, AdWords, website, traditional marketing, radio, print TV, and our goal is to generate a couple hundred teams. So that's what the month we spend. Oh, month? No, sorry, for an event. For an event, yeah. No, not a month for sure. Yeah.
How long did it take you to start all this out?
Well, it's a good question. So it took me essentially 2 years to find out something that I could do. I was actually able to start the magazine up quite quickly, which is, I was pent up and ready to roll. So really it was the ability to hustle in the local sports community gets you a lot of results. So I was able to get 4 or 5 really key sports groups on board. And then once other groups saw they're on board, it kind of had a snowball effect. So if you're running a dance organization and you see your competition in the magazine, so I was able to have the benefit of snowballing like that, and it has between 50 and 60 sports groups. So it took about a year to ramp up really quickly on the magazine, and then continue to grow. But then when starting the new ventures, it didn't take that much time because we had the base of fans, we had the base of contacts, we had infrastructure in place. So to start up big game road trips, it really only took me a couple months, which would normally take someone a much longer time to do, because they were all complementary businesses that we did. Yeah.
Sports Express, I noticed it's free in restaurants and some sort of sporting venues, gyms. Like, how do you make your money? Do you make it through advertising?
Yeah. So what's one of the strategies is why we were. So again, the print industry is, as everyone has probably heard, about 10 years ago, everyone spent their money on magazines and London Free Press and CTV London and everywhere. So they're still involved. So what we did differently is all of our content is paid for. So I wish I had an example here, but essentially you can consider an article about Eager Beaver baseball. They send me an article about Eager Beaver baseball. It's got a picture of 10 kids that are in mites, for example, and someone's written a couple hundred words about the team. So it's a half-page article. It's just talking about the team, how well they did, that kind of stuff. So I'll have about 50 of those sent in to me every edition. And what I do is I just charge a low fee for groups to have that space. So Eager Beaver Baseball, which is a very small baseball organization, they'll have a half page in every magazine I have. And then there's London Majors in there, and London District Baseball, and Centerfield Sports. So I have a section of all the different baseball groups. So what I've been able to do is get groups who don't have any money to spend on advertising, really, to spend about $100 a month, which is a great deal for them, because where can you spend $100 anywhere to have some targeted results? So I've accumulated about 50 different organizations that essentially pay for their advertising. It does mean that the content is actually paid content. It's a little bit different. It's not sort of strong opinions about coaches or referees. It's more advertorials. Oh, thanks. So there is, it's sustainable because there is revenue generated from content, and then because there's so much content, businesses love it because businesses can see what's happening. And the other thing that we do is any business owner, so let's say a McDonald's restaurant has a sponsors 3 teams. Well, you can be pretty sure I'm going to put a photo of their team brought to you by McDonald's, so that the owner of McDonald's, who is donating money to a baseball team, is seeing that baseball team in my magazine, seeing their name, seeing their logo, and all those faces are thanking McDonald's, thanking them for the article because it's brought to you by them. So we find business owners who are into sports, and we feature their community interests, and we do fun articles, and we have revenue coming from articles and revenue coming from business ads. That's why it's pretty significant what we've done to allow us to be sustainable, because most magazines have lived off business ads, which are harder and harder to get. Good question. Okay, so we're going to take a step sideways. We're going to talk about doing an event at your school. So last year, what we did is we did a road show. We went to about 6 different high schools. We brought our hockey nets, we brought our sticks, we brought our goalie gear. Sometimes they were doing an actual hockey game, like 15 minutes at recess. Some of the classes did a floor hockey tournament during their, I think, leadership course it was. But during the recess, we would have our radar gun, which is a professional radar gun, where people can show up, take a shot, see how hard the shot is, and you can compete against your friends, and we kind of track the results. We also have accuracy, so we have a net with Carey Price in the middle, and you got the spot here and a spot there, and everyone gets a chance to shoot to see who has the most accurate shot. And then we put the most basic thing, 4 pylons up, about the space, and it's amazing how hard it is for people to race around these pylons and beat. So we'll do races of 4. So if you have 20 people, we'll do 5 heats of 4, and then the winners come back, we'll do a final. So we just do some fun, it's called an all-star competition, or a skills competition. And it takes about 15 minutes to half hour. So anyone obviously at your school who's into hockey, who's gonna hear about it, probably wants to come out and have some fun and try it. So that's what we did last year. And then for this year, basketball, it's wide open, so you can have a 3-point contest. You could do 3 out of 3, you could do some quick 5-minute games. You could have 4 teams and rotate teams in. It's really wide open. We're just asking to do something hockey, something basketball related. We're gonna teach you a little bit today about how to set it up, how to do the planning and preparation. And then we come out and support it. So it's, again, not a lot of time on your part. We get the experience of going through and doing the event. So that's what we did last year. So we're gonna talk right now about the planning, promoting, executing, and then post event. Go ahead, Brady. So, we're going to get into groups shortly, but essentially here are the dates that you need to pick. You don't need to know the date today. This is just, you're going to get a sheet. Actually, you do have a sheet which has this on there. So this is just something to think about. The goal would be if you're going to do an event, either as an individual or as a group, that you pick your event date by next week, somewhere within this window of time. April 15th, April 26th. Again, most times it's during a lunch recess. Again, unless you have a class that you want to do it in maybe you have a class you want to do it. You're going to set a goal for attendance. So you're going to set a minimum goal that you think is going to show up, and then you're going to set an inspirational goal that you're going to shoot for. It's just the process of setting goals. It doesn't really matter how it goes. So that's a part of it. You're going to determine some roles. So what are some different roles you think would be required in planning for an event? Say you want to run a basketball event at your school. What kind of roles do you think you need in planning? Yes? Yeah, so you might have one person do the promotions, or a few people doing the promotions based on different roles. So definitely have some roles there. What's another role that you would need to consider as you plan for your event? Yes? Did you say managing money? There wouldn't be any money involved, but that would be a very, very, very important role. That is a very important role in everything. But for this one, it's just free to come out. But thanks. Yes?
You need someone to make sure everyone's like getting that stuff towards their plan.
Yeah, so you want to have either broken off into roles or one person who's a project manager who's just making sure that all the steps are being followed and get done relatively in time. If it's not, all hands on deck to get it done. Yeah, finding out who's going to help get you some support. So who's going to be the person to go talk to the principal or your teacher to make sure you're allowed to do it. Find out any restrictions or anything that you want to have considered. Good. Anything else? Those are all great roles. These are all the things you're going to be thinking about shortly. So again, you want to confirm your teacher or principal. Obviously, basic ways to promote it would be through posters, announcements at the school, and social media. Anything else you can think of? So if you want to have a successful street hockey event, what else could you do other than these three things to promote it? Yes?
I guess just to add maybe one consideration, if you're gonna plan something at your school, just because we're dealing in a very litigious world, make sure that we go by OFIA guidelines.
Or the what, sorry?
OFIA guidelines, which is Ontario Physical Education Guidelines.
Okay.
In terms of equipment and everything.
Okay.
I would recommend.
Is that something that we should know now, or?
Well, all schools should probably know, it's just an acronym, just like in terms of equipment, as long as it meets these guidelines.
Do you know what things may affect hockey or?
Like like plastic sticks.
Yeah, like using only plastic sticks?
Yeah.
And helmets or goggles, you gotta have
Eyewear.
eyewear. If someone gets stick in the eye, it's liability, right?
Okay.
These are the, being phys ed teachers, these are the liabilities we deal with every day, so.
So last year, most of the events were just come up and shoot. There's no actual game.
Oh, okay. So
Now,
first skills.
some classes did a game, so I don't know if they used helmets. Did they use helmets?
They did use goggles.
They use goggles, okay.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing to keep in mind. If you're gonna do a game, you need goggles or helmets. Probably why most groups chose to do just a skills competition where you just take a couple shots, or you're racing between pylons. There's no interaction with other players. You're separate. There's no contact with others. So, great consideration. Let's add that to our list for next year. Okay, and then supplies, and then the last bullet there was supplies and equipment that you need. So sometimes schools have nets already, and sticks already, and balls. Some schools have nothing. So you just tell us what we need, and Jim brings the truck and brings whatever we need each time. We'll skip this one. So for the event day, so let's say for example you got an event going from 12 until 12:30. So you need to get everything set up. So you probably need to request to be out of school maybe a half hour earlier so you can get the area set up. Meet us there half hour so that at 12 o'clock when the students arrive, it's all ready to go and you've actually done the practice. Not only set up, but done some practice of some of the things so you can understand how the harder shot works and understand how some of the rules work. So that would be key for setup. Reviewing roles again with everyone for the event, who's doing what. Then execute the event, have someone for photos and videos, and then do a wrap up after the event to learn what went well and what could have gone better. Remember, this is just an event. This is just for event experience for students to get involved with. So that's sort of the process to take some learning away. Post event, so hopefully it will be posted on social media, videos, pictures. We will review the event with you, talk about how it went with your goals, and either you smashed your goals and how did that go, how did you do so well. Maybe you came nowhere close to your goal. Still a good experience, but what maybe didn't happen? What could you done differently if you did it again? That's what we'd like to be able to take away. If you take away if you did this again, a month later, you've got 2 or 3 things that you've done differently. So wherever you go in the future for event planning, you'll take